Welcome to Lock It Down Sports. I'm your host, Locke Hoover. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. And today on the show is MLB getting in the way of itself again, what the NFL should copy from the Premier League, and the national perception of college football. But first, I want to get into this, and I saw this the other day about a conversation. It's not been proposed, it's been talked about a group of 5 college football playoff. I read the title, and then I read some of the articles on that, and I go, what? First off, why would they want to do this? To me, it makes no sense. Because your best team, of course, is going to the playoff. The best G5 team is going to the playoff as an automatic bid, probably going to be your 12th seed. So the winner of this group of 5 college football playoff is the second best team. Congratulations. You're the second best G5 team? Does that matter? I mean, is there any pull? Is that a bigger recruiting pitch? Hey, know what? We were the second best G5 team because we won this tournament. We finished 7-5, but we won this tournament, and now we're the second best team. I mean, to me, this would almost be like the NIT of sorts for the G5 schools that nobody really cares about who won. Nobody cares about who the NIT champ is in basketball. Can you rattle off the last 5 NIT champs? Heck, can you rattle off the last 2 or 3 NIT champs, huh? It's crazy to me why this would even be a topic of conversation. I don't think it's even a helpful recruiting tool, because you're still going to get your bowl game, and wouldn't you potentially rather play a Power 5 school than another G5 school? I mean, I don't think, and I also don't think the G5 playoff would stop players from sitting out, because it's just another type of bowl game. I don't see them being, oh, wait, I want to go beat UAB. I'm going to play. Oh, I want to go beat MTSU, Louisiana Lafayette. So I'm going to play. For us to be the bragging rights to be the second best G5 school. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Now, granted, like I said, I think they'd rather play a bowl game, but granted, I mean, a bowl game, when it comes to playing Power 5 schools, and even on your own team, you don't know who's going to be playing at that point, who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's going to be sitting out. But, quote unquote, wouldn't it look better if you beat a Power 5 school in a bowl game? Wouldn't that be a better pitch to a recruit? Look, we beat Oklahoma State in the Alamo Bowl. Wouldn't that be a bigger pitch, a bigger selling point than, you know what, we were the second best G5 school? Granted, when it comes to those matchups, so I just did last year. So then 9 matchups where G5 schools played Power 5 schools. They went 1-8 in those games. 1-8. But they had their opportunity, regardless of how many of their guys and the Power 5 school kids were sitting out. So I don't see it working there either on that end, on both those two sandwiches. The other one I don't see it standing by and working is the revenue aspect. How would that work? I mean, people don't watch bowl games. They don't like they do the regular season. Schools and networks lose money from bowl games. So why would it not be the same sort of aspect on that end as well? I mean, I don't see them getting a TV deal. Of course, they'd want a TV deal. That's really their ultimate goal, to get a TV deal with that. But why would a TV contract, why would a CBS, a second tier CBS network, want to be like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll do that? I mean, maybe. I mean, the only spots I could see are a something like a stadium, a Flow Sports. Maybe they strike a deal with Roku on one of their free the Roku, kind of like Major League Baseball did, where they have their one game a week. That would be the only, I feel like, feasible deals, because I don't see them getting in these streaming platforms getting a bidding war for who's the second best G5 school. I don't see it happening at all, and I don't feel like financially it works at all for networks as well. So I find this highly unlikely, and I thought that's why I thought it was very interesting. It got trickled out in the first place. Another thing that I find hard to believe this even got trickled out, and they're even talking about it, even broaching the conversation, is Major League Baseball having a 6-inning mandate for starting pitchers. Like, what? Like, can you think of a more terrible idea? And I would hate it if it passed. So the goal of this would be to try to make the starting pitcher more important, a more prominent part in Major League Baseball. I think the first initial starting point to this would have to be in the minors, to start going longer and start going deeper in games. In the minors, that would make starting pitchers start going 7 and 8 innings. In the minors, no one's going to be hard in the big leagues. You take an inning or two off, and that might be equal. 6 innings in the bigs might equal 7, 8, 7 1/3, 8 1/3 innings in the minors, based on the talent level and the talent gap. To me, the good pitchers are prominent anyway, even if sometimes they do go 5 1/3. Chris Sale this year, a great year. His last 2 starts ago, struggled. He only went 4 2/3, 10 strikeouts, 4 2/3. They ended up losing the game, but he struggled. Couldn't even make it through 5. But he had 10 punch outs. To me, this is like saying I want a position player to get a minimum of 3 at bats if they start. I don't care if the other team went to the bullpen early to get a lefty on the mound. We've got a left-handed outfielder bottom of the lineup where we want a righty bat in a big situation. No, because you got to get 3 bats in a game. It's like managers should not have to be forced to manage a certain way, and they should be allowed to run the staff and the pitching staff however they want. If you want to take your pitchers out after 5 and burn out your bullpen, so be it. That's how they're managing it. Another thing. So what if a pitch kind of what in the Chris Sale situation, but made a little bit more explained out and expanded out here. So like, what if a pitcher's been in and out of trouble all game, but he's able to make it through 5 innings? He's in line for the win. Say he walks 4 batters, gives up some hits, and 4 or 5 hits, walks 4 or 5, but he's able to get out of the only allowing a run or two. It's we need to push him a little bit farther because we've got bullpen guys that have thrown a lot. Instead of taking them out in the fourth, 4 1/3, that's like an additional inning, and additional innings that's a thing. That's a big thing. That's a big deal to these bullpens, short term and then obviously long term as well. Later in the series or on that road trip or that homestand. I feel like forcing them to go 6 could cost teams wins and impact the playoff race. Specifically, look at this year for an example. How close the wild card is. There's a bunch of teams still in the hunt. I mean, a game or two could make a difference. Look at last year, the NL West. How close that was between those ball clubs. Because you got to remember, I mean, a game in May counts the same as a game in August or September. And all games are important. All games matter. Managers should be able to manage how they want to manage and operate their ball club. Now, I saw this. This was a little while ago, and when I saw this, I didn't see the game, but I saw the tweet of the Premier League is going to have refs wear a video camera while reffing a game. So it was meant to provide insight into officiating, and the footage would not be for live broadcast. I read that and I go, man, what would be really cool if the NFL or even college football, both of them, would do that at least for the preseason to try it out. Of course, especially the preseason. I mean, even in the college football realm, if you did whenever a D1 school plays an FCS school, or Georgia plays a Louisiana Monroe, it's probably going to be a lopsided score. Wear it in games like that to give you an idea of how it is, how it would be. I mean, I would love to be in the live broadcast. That would be even better. I feel like you give fans much more access and the insight to how refs call a game of that's a flag. Here's why it was a pass interference. Here's what I'm looking at. Or here's why it's a hold. That is what I'm looking at. Now, I know pass interferences and holds are, flip the coin, very subjective, especially holding. You could be lineman could get called for holding on every play. But something like that, the insight of, hey, here's where my head's turning, here's my up, here's my down, here's what I saw I think on the flip end as well, if you see someone way downfield a ref throw a flag for pass interference or blocking the back or holding, it's like, what did you see? You're way far away from that play. How did you pick up pass interference there or that holding call? It gives you a little bit of insight of, okay, maybe he was right, or ooh. And that's when replay would come more in effect on the holding call, the pass interference, etc. is not really reviewed very much. Penalties can't be reviewed. It would put a lot more pressure on the refs, and that's one of the things where I don't see that happening. The high pressure that the refs would feel from these games, from the video recording of the games. It'd be pretty stinking cool, I tell you that. Maybe it'll be done in the distant-ish future, but to me it's very unlikely. Now, I want to say I take these with a grain of salt, but I do like to look at them to see what the preseason polls are, what they look like for college football. And there were 9 out of the 16 teams in the SEC are ranked. 4 were in the top 10. 2 also received votes. So I also looked at the I'll get back to that in a minute as well. So the Big Ten, there was 6 teams out of the 14 ranked, 4 in the top 10, 3 were also receiving votes. You have the ACC, 5 out of 18 were ranked, 2 in the top 10, 3 were receiving votes. Then you have the Big 12, 5 out of 18 were ranked, and you have 3 receiving votes. None in the top 10. And I was like, okay. It perked my interest a little bit more. And I go, I wonder what the projected playoff looks like with this new 12-team playoff. The SEC had 4 projected teams, and the only conference projected to have their full allotment in the group. Their 4 projected seeds were 1st, 5th, 7th, and 8th. So what that means is they obviously the highest overall seed in 1. They had the highest at-large seed at number 5. And then they had the 3rd and 4th highest at-large seeds as well. Because remember, the top 4 teams seeds go to conference champions. So the next highest you could be as an at-large is number 5. Big Ten only had 3 projected teams. The 2 seed, the 6 seed, and the 9 seed. So the second highest overall in the 2 seed, and then the second highest at-large. ACC, 2 projected, had the 4 seed and the 10 seed. Big 12, the 3 seed and the 11th seed. And then that 12th seed, I believe it was, I think the Boise State is, so the Mountain West was the 12th seed that they were projecting and predicting. Like I said, they're meaningless. The polls are meaningless, but it's kind of interesting to see the overall outlook of what these schools are projecting, what the overall national media and stuff thinks as well. So I think one thing that did perk my interest in a little bit as well after looking all this over. I mean, it just shows you and it shows me how close and similar the Big Ten and the ACC really are. And then also this point as well. They should be more in lock and step and be working together more on structure and things and TV contracts and conference stability as opposed to fighting to see who can be the 3rd best conference. Because that's really where it's at. They're cat and dogs fighting over each other and against each other to see who can be number 3. Which is funny but true. And then when it comes to polling as a whole, I mean, I think they shouldn't really start polls till about week 4 or 5, so you actually know what you have as a school and how your schools and how your teams are when it comes to the early portion of the season. College football is almost here. I can't wait. It's going to be a blast, like it always is. And that's all I've got for you this week. You can follow me at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter or X. You've been listening to Lock It Down Sports. I'll talk to you next week.